Hello and welcome to the Backstage Wisdom podcast, where we explore what it truly means to live a happy, healthy, and fulfilled life as a musician. My name is Marco Hona. I'm a musician and coach, and in each episode, I talk to artists and experts about the questions that matter the most beyond the stage. The highs and the lows, the challenges we face, and the insights that help us grow as musicians and as human beings. This time I sat down with Dixon Nacey. Dixon is a professional guitar player, arranger, educator, and musical director from Auckland, New Zealand. He recorded 3 solo albums and worked with numerous artists from around the world and thought deeply about what drives us as musicians and how we can thrive and evolve. Together, we dive deep into very personal experiences, how we perceive music and ourselves, and how in the end, it's all okay. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. This is Backstage Wisdom. Yeah, thanks for being here, Dixon. I'm today here with Dixon Nacey from New Zealand. We are in New Zealand right now. Thanks for being on the Backstage Wisdom podcast.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me and welcome to Aotearoa.
Yeah, it's good to be back. We've been here 12 years ago. So such a nice place and warm and nice people here. Like we really love
Mostly.
it. Yeah, we never met someone like angry or like, yeah. You are guitar player, professional guitar player. You live here in Auckland, New Zealand on the North Island.
Yes.
And yeah, just tell us real quick, how old are you? How long are you making music professionally?
Great. Yeah, so I'm 50, 51 this year, 2026. And I've been playing since I was 14, I started playing. And then professionally since I was 16, I started going out and gigging quite early.
Two years in?
A couple of years in.
Yeah.
I was one of those crazy practices. I just played all the time.
Yeah.
And was out doing gigs, quite early. Mostly like jazz stuff and then a bit of pop. Mm-hmm. And then since then I've been a freelance musician, doing everything from covers and solo gigs through to writing my own music and releasing that. Yeah. More jazz styled, doing a lot of teaching. Mm-hmm. And then in the last 10 years, I've been doing a lot of what you would call directing or musical directing, mm-hmm. and artistic directing for large scale shows. Okay. So these are big kind of events that take 6 months to put together, that sort of thing. So that's nice. Real fun.
Nice. Like you mean like a big ensemble, like big events, like award shows, something like that? Or
yeah, like we have a thing here called Christmas in the Park every year. And mm-hmm. So that's obviously near Christmas time. We fly the whole show down to Christchurch. We tour the whole show down and that's, I don't know, there's probably 500 people involved with that show.
Oh my God.
Yeah, maybe 150, 200 on stage.
And you're
dancers.
The musical director of this event?
I was for a long time, and then I kind of faded into the background to be the artistic director.
All right.
So that's one of the shows. And then a few other shows that are similar, mm-hmm. kind of large scale, like variety shows. And then the next thing I'm working on, there's a thing called Big Horns, which is really exciting. So that's like think of like a modern day big band.
Yeah.
10-piece horn section, live rhythm section, fantastic singers out the front, all live, but doing really cool arrangements of like R&B and funk and soul.
Oh, that sounds so juicy.
It's very exciting, so I'm looking forward to that. So we're going to be doing that in March this year. So that's kind of what I mean by the directing thing, Cool. But yeah, guitar is my first love and still my, the thing I love to do the most when I get the time.
Yeah. Did you start with guitar or was there any instrument before that?
A little bit of piano,
mm-hmm.
but I didn't take it far because we didn't have a piano. So, we had guitars floating around, just old beat up guitars. My mum had a nylon string classical with like half the strings missing and, I would fiddle around on that. So no, it was guitar. And then since then, I've really only learned bass as well as a kind of second instrument.
More electric bass or upright bass?
Just electric, yeah. I love playing that, but...
yeah, me too.
yeah. but I play it like a guitarist, so I'm told.
Sure.
So yeah, too many notes.
Do you use a pick?
No, I love the finger style.
All
That's
right.
fun,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, primarily guitar.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah.
were your parents musical people? Did they play an instrument, or was it?
They didn't play an instrument, but they loved music. So they had a massive record collection. I
Yeah.
think that's where my love of lots of different styles came from,
Yeah.
because they had everything from the blues greats, the jazz greats. So I was listening to Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong, but then also Muddy Waters and Lightning Hopkins and Robert Johnson.
Yeah.
Willie Dixon, who I'm named after, because
Really?
they
Yeah.
were so into
Makes sense.
music. And then right through to all the pop, pop people of the day of the 70s and 80s. So I had this great record collection growing up, and that they played music all the time. So I was surrounded by it,
Okay.
So really lucky in that sense. That was my upbringing was very heavy in music. If not playing so much until I was in my teens, definitely listening.
But was it nobody suggested really to pick up an instrument before 14? So it was your own kind of, I want to do this?
Yeah, my dad played a tiny little bit, and he had a bass. It was a little short scale bass,
Yeah.
and so I would pick that up and play it like upside down, because that's the only way I could play it.
Cool.
But one day he said, "Man, you look like you can really, you look natural behind that thing," So then he got me an acoustic, which was almost impossible to play. That must have been when I was 10 or 11 or something, But no, I didn't really start playing until I was 14. That's when I got a book, great book, a blues book, and that was just like a tutorial book with a tape. In those days. You can remember those.
I can remember.
This was 100 years ago.
Yeah.
1989, so yeah, some time ago. But anyway, it came with a tape, and I just learned all the examples on that. It was such a great thing. That was kind of that's where I started with blues. Yeah, segued into guitar and in particular the blues. And I played blues probably for a year
without
solid.
any lessons.
No lessons.
The book.
Yeah, no.
Not even friends, older guys teaching you anything?
Not really. No, not really. We didn't. I didn't have lessons. They weren't at my school at the time. Right towards the end of my time at school, I went to a school here in West Auckland called Avondale College, and had a great tutor, amazing tutor, and he introduced me to a lot of jazz. He's a jazz trumpet player.
Yeah.
By the name of Paul Norman. But anyway, he got me into that music, Yeah. But no guitar tutors pretty much ever. I kind of just taught myself all the way along.
Yeah.
And then later I would get I'd get lessons online with amazing American guitarists, and so I did a bit of
by
catch
later
up.
You mean like in your 20s?
Yeah, 20s and 30s. Yeah, so much later I would try and catch up with. There's a great guitarist called James Muller. I don't know if you know who James is, but
no.
Oh man, you got to check his stuff out. He's an Australian guitarist, and he came to New Zealand 20 years ago. I first met him. He came with a group, and I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. Just virtuosic, but really musical and interesting and novel.
Big inspiration for you.
He was at the time, absolutely, and not only that, I got a lesson, and then we got to hang out. And over a few years, he came to New Zealand and did some workshops. I was teaching at the university then. Yeah, teaching at Auckland Uni on the jazz course, and so he came over and did some things. So he was a real strong influence at that time. But before that, I was just learning off. I was just transcribing, all the usual suspects.
Yeah. But mostly jazz then, right?
Mostly jazz in terms of what I wanted to practice when I was by myself, yeah.
Okay.
I'd be listening to that and I'd be practicing that.
And then you started like after 2 years when you were 16 to get into bands, playing for money also. Yeah. And also jazz or also cover bands like pop rock stuff?
That was a mix, yeah. Even back then it was a mix. The jazz was pushing me and helping me develop as a musician, as an artist and an improviser, which was something I really love. I still love improvising today. And then the pop stuff was fun, real fun. Yeah. just jumping around and playing Nirvana because Nirvana was dropping it, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So always both kind of at the same time, and covers on one hand and then jazz on the other. Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah. Would you say that your upbringing would like encourage music and you were very free in that regard? Like you could do everything with your time, like practice 8 hours a day with no problem, no one's bothering you, like you were supported in that area?
That's a good question. I couldn't stop playing.
Yeah.
So I would be playing at school, carrying a guitar around. Not so much in the other classes, but at every break I would be at the music department, in the 2 breaks. During school, straight after school, I'd be there, or I'd come home and I'd practice. And then, I'd close my eyes and play, and then I'd be being called for dinner, and it would be like 4 hours had gone past. So very easy for me to slip into a deep, I didn't think of it at the time as being practicing, excuse me.
But what was it like? I know it's hard to describe, but what attracted you like about the guitar or music in general? Like, was it more like the sound, the feel, the energy? Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it was. I think it's the feeling of harmony in particular. Harmony. And when I was very young, didn't know anything about music. I loved certain music, I loved things with slightly jazzy, more complex harmony and jazzy chords and complex patterns and chord progressions that felt that really had an emotional aspect to them. So I think that's what I was always attracted to. It wasn't just ballads or jazz music. It might be something like Crazy Little Thing Called Love. This is a Queen song,
Yeah.
But at the end, there's this beautiful set of chord changes that step up. It's in the key of D, and then it steps up these 3 chords. And that straight away caught my ear. I didn't know till much later on, that those are kind of jazzy changes, and then that's really a jazz-inspired swing tune, I guess shuffle swing. But at the time, I didn't, you don't know any of that when you're 4 or 5 or whenever that song came out. But certainly harmony was a big aspect. I was really attracted to the motion of chords and certain types of chords that were warm and deep and wide,
So you were very intensely affected emotionally by music in general, and the guitar gave you like the tool to express it. Would you say that is true?
Yeah, that's a good summary. Yeah.
And at that time, like, did it occur to you that there's also another pathway you could go on, like do something completely different, like not music, like normal work? Or was it like, I'm going to be a musician, it's so clear?
Yeah, it wasn't clear. I didn't think it could be work. I didn't think I could. Yeah, I just loved doing it. And I also loved art. So I was thinking about pursuing art as well, painting in particular. But my dad was an artist or is an artist and an oil painter, So I had that in the background, and I did that through school as well. But they're both kind of not normal jobs, really. But no, it just like I went out to get work straight as school finished. I went through and completed school here, 7th form, was the end of school for us. So I did that. That was in 1992. In 1993, I was going to come over to the UK where my father was.
Oh yeah.
But that didn't work out, and so I stuck around. So I looked for work, and then I fell into just gigging, like gigging with covers bands at that time.
There was a demand.
And jazz stuff. And
I guess.
There's a lot more gigs around back then. There was a lot more bands and live bands and covers bands and just out and about in general, larger bands, so 4 or 5 piece bands. And there was a scene, there was a rotating scene where I traveled a lot for a year and a half. When I was 17, just after I finished school, I traveled up and down the country in a covers band, mostly the North Island, but we did a lot of different venues because there was just so much more work.
And good experience.
I enjoyed it. But in the background, I needed to have an outlet of like a creative outlet.
Yeah.
Because the covers stuff is, it's good. I love it, but it's very narrow
And always the same.
musically, and always the same. And there's a beauty in that, right? Because
Sure.
you have to try and make it magical for the audience who are experiencing it, and going on a nostalgic trip or whatever it is. So you have to try and make the music good.
Yeah.
But it's a different thing than being creative and having freedom.
Absolutely, yeah.
So yeah.
So if that would have not worked out, you maybe pursued arts or something in that regard, like you wouldn't do carpentry or something.
No, I was never good.
Yeah.
Never good at with my hands. I'm not a DIY guy.
Yeah.
So not really. And when that came up, it was just sort of no looking back, because I was working straight away and really busy too. It was 4-5 gigs a week, and then a little bit of teaching, and that just kept growing. And over time, my reputation grew, and I played with more musicians and got more session work, and so I just stayed really busy as a freelance musician. Yeah, so there was never any need for it. Yeah.
Yeah, what would you say, like, besides being busy, of course, what else does really being a successful musician mean to you? Like, besides of making money and making a living?
Yeah, I think that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
The baseline is you have to sustain yourself.
Yeah.
In my case, my family, I have 3 boys. Although, they're getting older and some of them are moving on and out now, but we're at that phase in life. But certainly the first thing is you have to be realistic. Being realistic about what a career as a musician means, in order to sustain a livelihood for your family, or in my case. Or even if you don't have kids, I think you've still got to be realistic about it, because my experience is that to really follow your dream, my dream in particular of just absolutely loving jazz music and wanting to play jazz, is very hard. It's very difficult in New Zealand, in such a small country, a small population.
And not even just in New Zealand, all around the world. Like, jazz is still like a very narrow
Niche,
path, niche music. There's not so much money in jazz in general, but maybe even more in small New Zealand. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So the gigs are, they're lower paid, or you're taking jazz gigs, but they're really wallpaper. You just like stand there, look good, and then play quietly. So
That's a good one.
We can eat our steak.
Wallpaper.
Yeah.
Don't play so loud. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are great, but be quieter.
Yeah.
So, they just want you to sort of sit there and look good. But that again, that's just dealing with the reality of what earns me money to sustain me, so that I can put time aside to do my own projects and my own work. So I guess that's the first part of it, is being realistic about sustaining your life as your career, and that helps with when you're like, playing covers again, not this song again. It helps keep perspective of what's really important.
Absolutely. You don't necessarily need to be like that much of an artist when you take these things as an opportunity to make a living, right?
That's right.
Teaching and playing certain music, it's not really heartfelt, but it pays the bills. So it's perfectly defined for somebody making that decision that it's okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. And so your question was what sort of defines a successful, or what are the really meaningful ways? How could you define it? And so I think that helps you with the baseline, the fundamental of like just earning and sustaining, and then also I would take opportunities, and I have done a lot of this, to be creative, because I think that is a marker of a successful musician, just because that's what I love. So if you love playing covers, then actually the success for that for that particular person would be, just having a really kick-ass covers band.
Yeah.
And maybe you go down rabbit holes with that. There's plenty of great examples of those kinds of bands from around the world. Leonard and Friends, I don't know if you've seen that group. It's a Russian group. Unbelievable. There's another one called Hindley Street, I think they're called, Country Club or something like that, which is an Australian super band. And they're super cover bands, and so if that's your thing, then I feel like that is, you're finding a way to be successful. For me, it's finding ways to be creative, and whether that's composing, improvising, so lots of different projects every year I will do where I have to practice the music and new material and challenge myself.
Yeah.
And that to me is a means of success. Yeah. I think it definitely brings me happiness. I think I've learned over time that it's not so much the gig itself. That's what you're working towards and practicing for, but it's the journey of discovery. When you're sitting in a room and just trying to understand something or understand yourself. What are my limitations? How do I approach this music? How do I find how do I find a way to be myself in other people's tunes?
Yeah.
In particular the jazz stuff. Like I did a Pat Metheny show. I've done it about 4 or 5 times, and if you know his music at all, it's very complex.
Absolutely,
and in some aspects it's quite complex. Like harmony, there's always lots of chords in, and so playing that music is difficult enough, but finding your own voice in it, especially because the greatest proponent of his music is him.
And his sound.
And his sound and his style and his approach and his lines. And I learned a lot of his playing when I was young, so it's hard for me to listen to it and then not just copy, or even when I'm in the gig doing his songs, not hear and play like how he plays. So that's a challenge, and that part of that journey of practice and discovery is working out your limitations and how you can get around those or past them, because it's not always just practice that gets you there. It's like, oh, cool, I'm just going to play the notes and I'm going to play some scales and then hope for the best. It's you need a better strategy.
Absolutely,
than just that. But I would, coming back to, hopefully, to answer your question from a little while ago, is that that is the thing I really enjoy, and I make time to do that, not just practice for the gig, but also because if you're treating the music well, if you're really taking the time to get to know it, to craft and practice, something happens, something magical happens beyond what you've practiced. Working with other great musicians, you get a great audience on the night. And if you're ready and you've done all of that work, then something really magical can happen, But in order to allow that, you kind of need to do the work. You need to do the work. So
there's no shortcuts.
There's no shortcuts. So I really respect that process and enjoy it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Love that. Do you think that you mentioned this, do you think you found your own voice already, or do you think it's still developing? Is there a place you can arrive at a musician, or is it for you always like a journey that never ends?
Journey that never ends.
Yeah,
that's the short answer. I think when you pick up an instrument, you have a voice, even if you've never played it.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I believe so. I'm teaching a lot of, so I'm classroom teaching now, music, and I'm teaching a lot of
theory.
Oh, just like people that have never played. So young people who enjoy music and love listening to it, and then they're like, oh, I've never played before, and so they're kind of sitting at a piano or bashing drums, but there's a difference in how each of them play a note. There's a difference already.
Absolutely.
It's not just, it's a difficult thing to pinpoint, but it is it's what I call, it's an aspect of the voice inside you, because everyone has a different touch.
Yeah.
So then if you start developing that and really go down, like I feel everyone if you picked a guitar up and you got 100 guitarists to line up and just play a G chord,
Yeah.
open chord, and strum it, everyone would have a different voice.
Yeah.
That's what I think of when
At
you
least
say that.
in the ear of an experienced musician who really listens, and maybe not like the crowd maybe wouldn't tell a difference, but you like, oh, there's a
Yeah.
person behind that instrument that feels a different way in that situation.
Also,
And that
I
makes it
think,
different, yeah.
yeah, and I think people feel it even if they don't know it.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a lot of things as I walk around the world, I think I don't know how any of this works, but you can feel a difference. And when it comes to artistic craft and creation and creativity, a piece of art or a performance, you can feel the difference between something really high quality, something with a unique aspect to it that's really deeply beautiful.
Yeah.
Even if it's very basic, doesn't matter, but yeah, there is a difference, and people can feel it, even laymen, even people that are just music listeners, perhaps, but not performers or technicians. Yeah.
Do you think you found an answer to this mysterious question where the music really comes from?
Oof. That's a big question.
It is, yeah.
That's a beautiful question. Yeah. I like that question. I have no idea. Sometimes I think it's from me. Sometimes I think it's a muse, just a muse comes out of nowhere. I believe that it doesn't come from us entirely.
Yeah.
I think I feel like a conduit. If I get to the point where I'm really playing, really in the spirit of the moment and not thinking, just playing. I think so. One aspect of that, for example, is thinking. The thought feels like the enemy of the music.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you start thinking, what am I doing? Oh, is this a good thing to play? Oh, maybe I should. Oh, yeah, I learned that lick yesterday. Maybe I should put that in. As soon as you start thinking, it takes you out of that moment.
Yeah.
Just being.
Yeah.
Just being. Thinking is not being. Thinking is your brain jumping around. Or it is for me anyway.
Yeah.
And maybe everyone thinks differently, but I certainly get taken out of the moment. So I think if you're just feeling the music or whatever, great question, where does the music come from? As the music comes through, if you're just, like I have had moments where I'm looking at my hands and I don't know what I'm playing.
Yeah.
It's all music, it's all happening in the moment. And
you're more listening than you're actually playing.
Yeah, or just watching. I'm actually just observing.
Yeah.
I'm not making any decisions. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it because it's quite a freaky thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you an experience. This is real weird. So I'm gonna share. It's happened 3 times.
Please go ahead.
In my life. Where I've been performing, not for a long time. This happened maybe 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago now. And it happened 3 times within the space of about a year or 2 years. And 3 times I came out of my body. You can edit this out if it's too weird.
No, I love it.
I came out of my body and I floated around almost like observing, just a presence, not physically. I don't think, but I was kind of watching the band. And the first time I was at a gig, just a jazz gig, and I came to the side of the band and I was watching the whole band for, I would say, a whole minute, just watching the band. And that is this thing that I'm talking about where you're deeply in the music and just experiencing it, just experiencing the music. And almost feels like something in the band happens which allows you to get that high, get that depth of music. So that was the first time. Second time was similar to that, but this time I floated above the band. The third time was a really big outdoor gig. It was with an amazing musician and artist here, sax player called Nathan Haynes, incredible sax player. And this was 2007, I think, or 2008, and we were playing at a rotunda. There was a couple of thousand people. It was a big gig, and I floated literally off the stage just playing. I was just playing rhythm for this one, just playing rhythm guitar. I floated off the stage, and I was watching from a long way out. Like I'm thinking 100 meters or something. It was crazy.
Yeah.
That was the deepest, and that lasted for like the whole song, maybe longer. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So
amazing. Thanks for telling the story.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
But it was. It felt to me like I wasn't making the music, not me, not this person,
How could you? Yeah, when your like consciousness moves away from the guitar, moves away from the band, there must be a place where it is, and the music comes through and is doing its magic, its work. But it's hard to make something out of it. Like it sounds like a spiritual experience and spiritual awakening, maybe even. And just a disclosure, I guess there were no drugs involved, right?
No, not in any of these cases. Not in those cases.
Only music, doing
just all on the music. And I wasn't, I hadn't had anything to drink or anything like that. So it was literally just this crazy experience. But
it affected you like in long term.
Well, I always wanted to get back there because I was always like, that is the feeling that I want, and it would close to happen a few times since then. But it's it's an absence of thought. It's a being very much in the moment and in the experience. And I feel like you have to have all this stuff together. So the practice thing is a big part of it, and the crafting and, being ready and knowing the music and then just kind of leaving all of that behind. Yeah. Amazing experience, but it hasn't happened. Not like that since then.
Yeah, but why chase it, right? It sounds to me like as I said, a spiritual experience. And I relate to that in more, not in a musical context, but in a meditation context. Like I had similar experiences in deep meditation. And I always thought that there's not much difference between me practicing, for example, guitar, like really into it, really forget anything else, like even thinking resides, and compared to meditation. Like I'm meditating, I'm maybe focusing on a mantra or something else, and really everything else just drops away, and then you have this feeling of pure being, and that's of course something very beautiful, and we want to go there again. And you had this taste of this is really possible, like and when it's possible for you and me in a different context or the same context, it must be possible for everybody, right?
There's I feel like that, and then I think, am I being like a really pushy religious person, just like, hey, you've got to have this experience? And I like what you said. I wasn't chasing it at the time, so but it just happened. So sometimes it's almost like the observation principle. If you're looking at something, that observing it can change it, and I feel like if you're really chasing it, it won't come, because there's something in the way that you're trying to get it that is stopping it from happening. But it's mystical. I would say mystical or mysterious, and I like what you were saying. It was very deep. It felt like I know what I've heard from deep thinkers and philosophers and spiritual teachers, that experience that I had is similar to what they describe and what you've just described as well. So I would say it was kind of I guess you call it an out of body experience, but felt very it was a beautiful feeling,
and gives meaning in another way, right? I would think. But it seems like you were able to put in the work, like putting in so many hours of thinking music and really what we call practicing, that in those moments it paid off in a way that, okay, you're now able to let it all go and just play. And even if it's not an out of body experience, it seems to me like you often have the feeling that that's the case, that you just can't let go.
Yeah.
And maybe that's one thing we can teach younger musicians. That's like the outcome if you really put in the work. So
Yeah, be prepared.
yeah,
That's what the work is, be prepared. And then, especially in jazz music, I think more than maybe other forms where it's very specific, the notes, the pattern of notes, the progression of notes follows because it's a classical piece or a pop cover and a part, you're playing a part. But in jazz where there's no answer yet,
yeah,
you're finding the answer as you go. I feel that's true of that music in particular.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, there's something about jazz, like it reminds me when you read like autobiographies of or even like just text about jazz musicians. They kind of often tell stories about like being a more spiritual thing and being in the zone in the music, and maybe rock and pop and metal musicians not so much.
Well,
I'm not really sure. Maybe they
Yeah.
don't talk about it, but there's a component of music or a place where you can be. And for myself, I'm most comfortable, or I think I'm more able to tap into that when I'm improvising. Because as you mentioned before, I think when you playing cover music, like you have a framework, you have a goal, you want to nail it, blah blah blah. And when you're just going, you're like improvising. You're giving yourself more than in other cases, right?
Yeah, there is something cool about being in a really strong covers band too.
Yeah.
In a situation, doesn't matter what the music is. Let's say it's AC/DC covers.
Yeah.
Like there's something incredible about just but
Absolutely.
locking in and everyone's together. It's really powerful. It's almost
A
tribal or primal. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a kind of a different aspect to it, but I would say it's pointing in the same direction-ish. If that makes sense. I don't know if any of this makes sense, but that's how I feel about it. And I've been in those situations, playing with a really good bass player and a really good drummer. I had a covers band. About 12 years, we had a residency. We played 3 times a week or more sometimes.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so we did 150 gigs a year together. We must have done 1,000 gigs, maybe more together. And so you get to the end of that, and man, you play really tight.
Yeah.
Really, you just know where each other, and all those little adjustments, all those fights, all those things where you disagree, all of that's out of the way. And then you just come back to playing music together. And it's like, because we reunited recently.
Amazing.
Covers band, man, such a good band. But it's like a juggernaut, man. And that feels really good. But it's a different thing.
Yeah.
But I'm not thinking when I'm playing that music. I'm just enjoying it.
Grooving.
And feeling it. Yeah.
And compared when you're improvising, how does it feel compared to that feeling?
I feel it's on the same wavelength, at least in the aspect of not thinking. Mm-hmm. At least in the aspect of just letting the music come through, getting out of the way of the music. It's a good way of thinking about it. Get out of the way of the music. So in that respect, it's the same. It's the same thing.
I like to connect it again with putting in the work. Do you think there would be a way to have this feeling of contentment and being locked in and letting the music flow without putting so much effort into it, like years and years?
Yeah, I think we experience that when we play. Just if you're playing, not an instrument, but if you're just playing with people.
Like the act of playing.
The act of playing, because you don't know what's going to happen. It's like a sport, or just play fighting, or playing tiggy with your friends running around when you're young. We do this all the time. Yeah. It's totally improvised. It's in the spur of the moment. You're not, you can be thinking about things, but you're kind of just in the middle of experiencing, and it's quite a kind of a physical thing. Again, it's primal. There's an aspect to that, which is, and then there's teams as well. Like teams is another part of it, where for a sports team, it's the 10 other guys on the field with you.
Yeah.
But in bands, it's ensembles, and that is its own amazing dynamic as well. You've got to kind of be individual, but be a part of something, and then the energy can be massive. in an ensemble.
Yeah.
But in terms of, your question, do you need to work or do you need to craft something in order for this thing to be deeper or more meaningful? I'm not sure. I feel like it can manifest at any level. But
That's beautiful. Yeah.
I think so. I've seen it. I've seen it in young kids who are just playing real basic stuff, but they play together and there's a light that comes on, and when they play as a group, it's really awesome and beautiful.
Yeah.
Not flashy, not complex, but beautiful.
Yeah.
That
reminds me of the movie School of Rock. You know that one?
Yeah.
It's so nicely depicted, like everyone's first time having the instrument, a bass, drums, whatever. And Jack Black in his role is really so good to give them the emotion of, hey, it's really important what you're doing right now. Feel into it. And I get goosebumps when I think about the scene because it's so, they play the most basic stuff, but they're really so feeling it. Yeah.
And he's a great in the spur of the moment guy.
Yeah.
He, you can tell he's deeply, he's really into it.
Yeah.
So he's passionate. I think passion has a lot to do with it. But I love those scenes. There's that one in particular. I think they play Smoke on the Water or something. But he gets them to play things and stops them and restarts them. And it's all very simple, but it comes together so beautifully. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about, actually. Yeah, that could be that's a nice model.
Yeah.
In an ideal world of what might happen.
Yeah. But it's so nice that you have this kind of perspective on music in general. Like an outside guy could look at jazz musicians sometime and think that they're so hardworking. They learn all the standards. They learn all the scales. They're thinking so much. It's really not free, or maybe they're looked down on people who play like more easy music and more rock, whatever. But it's not really the case, right? Like for you, there's no level really. Yeah.
No, exactly. And because I guess there's differences in ability, right? That's clear. That's clear. There's a big long line and you can put yourself somewhere.
Yeah.
So I'm here and these guys are down here. And then you can use that distance for your own ego purposes.
Yeah.
Where you're like, this is, I'm really good because that guy's not so good and I can gauge. Yeah.
But there's always another guy who's much
and then
better
you see someone else and what happens, you want to break your guitar because that's your mentality. It's like, I have to be the best, or I want to be really good at this and people will like me for that or respect me more in the industry, or I'll get more gigs because I'm better than this guy or that guy. And I think all of those things are true in possibly true. Absolutely. And I've suffered from all of them. The snobbery, just going jazz.
Yeah.
But
happens.
But I think for the most part, certainly for me, I don't place any value on someone's ability. I place more on how much they give the music.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
I think that's way more sustaining. So, and then you can put aside the complexity of the music and just say, are you giving it?
Are you giving your best, your all? Are you really focused and intentionally playing?
All those things. And then even more simply, are you just, are you present? Are you letting the music happen, or do you need to work a little bit more so that can happen? And then they go away and do the work, come back. And when it happens, they can feel it. Everyone can feel it. So having those successes, having like a student, or for myself, practicing something and then it's just not working. I'm thinking too much. It's not happening. And then letting that stuff fade into the background so the music can come through,
Yeah.
That's always the goal. I feel like that's, if you focus on that as being the goal is to be present and to be to let the music happen. I think that's super important. Yep.
Speaking of that, what do you think? What hinders the music to come through?
Nerves and
What do you
nerves.
mean by that? Like
Nerves,
being
if you're
anxious?
nervous, if you're anxious, anxiety, just being anxious about playing the wrong thing because you haven't prepared enough. That's one I've suffered from. Oops, I should have done more practice here. So that's one thing. And then being nervous, playing with really heavy players, that can, almost like there's a tension that comes, and then that prohibits or inhibits the music from coming through properly. Fingers are all just like sausages, and it's not like all the music. Then also you're really up in your head.
Yeah.
So again, coming back to that thing, that's another great inhibitor is thinking.
I like that. And for me, like when I hear that, I think about a symptom. Like I feel anxiety or I'm thinking too much. That's for me the symptom. What do you think is behind that symptom? Why does it
Fear.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But where does the fear come from? You're not chased by a tiger, right?
No, but there are other fears. You're right. There are fears. There's I think there's a fear that I struggle with every now and then, but I know a lot of other musicians do, which is a fear of being a fraud.
Yeah.
So you're worried you're going to be found out. You're worried you're going to be exposed, and making a mistake will show people that you shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
You're not ready for this. You made a horrible decision becoming a musician.
You're not
all
one
of your
of
worst
us,
fears.
yeah.
You're not one of us. You're outside of the group.
Yeah.
You don't belong. You're not good.
Yeah.
You're not good.
That's more a tribal feeling. Like we all on a tribal, like ancestry level, we want to be part of, right?
Yeah, we need to contribute. Well, because that actually on a deep level, that shows you, that's truly your value.
Yeah.
If you can't go out and hunt because you're lame, you got a limp.
Yeah.
What value are you to the tribe?
Yeah.
So that's a real thing.
It's really,
it's not, people dismiss it and go, you just have to get over it. No, you have to understand it first, I think. That is a real thing. Like,
exactly. That's what I meant. What's behind the symptom? Like we want to belong. We want to basically be loved, be seen.
Yep, be loved, be
inside
seen.
every group, and especially when you're on stage, like it all becomes your tribe. Like not only the band, but also the audience. Like, and you feel easily judged, even if they're just enjoying or just looking. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
And in the back of your mind, it's going like sometimes even. Especially for younger musicians, am I good? Am I any good? Like, this bass player is so much older than me. Like, stuff like that is happening all the time, right?
All the time, and you have to sort of try and quieten that down, and and let things happen. But that is a ongoing struggle, I think. But you're right. I believe at the core of it, if you pull everything to the sides and just go, what is creating this fear and this anxiety? And it's the fear of embarrassment too. We don't want to be embarrassed. We don't want to play things wrong,
Yeah.
Shame. Shame's a big one.
Yeah. After gig shame.
Like
I fucked
you just
up this song.
You just want to run to your
mates.
To your bed and hide under the sheets.
Yeah, but it's all part of the experience, right? We learn from that so much. If we're cautious and if we like really conscious about it, like what just happened, why am I feeling this way?
Yeah.
Talk to other musicians. Do they feel the same? It's very important, right?
And you walk the line too, because there's like, I messed up. Oh, damn it. You can get really anxious, or you can laugh it off and go, or just go, oh, well, that happened. Can let it go.
Yeah.
And then what happens is you're much less inclined to be hanging on to it, making future mistakes, and also going back and judging it or obsessing over it. Oh, man, how did I make that? I did it perfectly in my room 20 times, 30 times. Why did that happen?
Yeah.
And if you obsess over every mistake, it's going to be a pretty dark ride home from the gig. So you have to let those things go. But the line I'm talking about walking is when you let things go, but you don't settle for the music, the fact that the music collapses because you haven't got it together. You can't let that happen as well.
Yeah.
So that's
a fine line, yeah.
It's a fine line. You have to craft things. You have to have your parts together and your stuff together so that you can represent the music and, play the part that is needed to create this wonderful thing together. but forgive yourself if you stuff up.
So the mantra would be, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay to fuck
it's a
up
big one.
sometime.
It's okay. Just those words.
Yeah. That's pretty much enough. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had that said to me one time
Mhm.
by this guy. It was not music, but it was the deepest experience. It was like a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
And I've never forget it. And he just said that. It's okay. Oh, man, and I was, there was so much in that.
Yeah. It's very profound, but it's one of those lines we hear so many times, like "I love you," or some like it almost means nothing. But if you really let it hit you, like it's okay, everything is okay. Why wouldn't it be okay?
And that particular time for me, exactly right. By the way, exactly right. That particular time for me was in traffic, and I was angry and agitated, and I pulled out, and I didn't see a cyclist.
Oh.
And then as he came past, well, I did see him, but I thought I was okay. And anyway, and then as he came past, he kind of said, "All right," and I beeped at him, and I got really angry, and then I kind of pulled out behind him, and then he just turned around and he goes, "It's okay." And when he did it, I realized he was deaf.
Oh yeah. Wow.
And I just went,
Mm-hmm.
and there was so much learning in that 2 seconds. It was really powerful, really beautiful, and humbling. And I was quite ashamed of how I was like, I didn't need to overreact like that. Then when he said it's okay, all these other things came out, like, oh yeah, he's talking, why am I agitated already? Why did that set me off? Oh, that's right, because this is happening in my life. And then him saying it's okay felt like he was saying all of that was okay. It was beautiful.
It would be nice when it would more often or always be that easy, that only a simple line like that would like take us out of our hamster wheel, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. So we all also have to work on that, right?
It made me marvel at him, because I was just like, how could he so deeply know that was the right thing to do to completely diffuse the situation? Because he was right.
Yeah.
He was on a fundamental level, that was the perfect thing to do, to show me what I was doing wrong, but also to just diffuse everything in the coolest way. It was great. There was immediately no hostility. Everything dissipated. I was like, man, one day I want to be that that clear.
But it shows us that it's possible. Like we can be that guy.
Yeah.
We can also be that guy for other musicians. Like when something happens, like some guy on the stage is messing something up, and you look at them, you feel what they're feeling. You just can go over, and not in the middle of the gig, but you can give them the feeling that it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I have learned from that, and I have used that.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Must be very good to have you in a band. Play with you.
Well, hopefully, yeah. I'm also a perfectionist. So that's the line. That's another line of like letting things go.
Yeah.
Letting people come in with their own energy and their own thoughts and their own music. And then also wanting the music to be really good.
Yeah. Because both can be true.
Both can be true. And in fact, my in the last 5 years, I would say, also, my biggest lessons have been not to construct and craft the perfect ideal in my mind, because it's so limited. My mind is so limited. I just had to work that out and just do my thing, get the music ready. Maybe you've rehearsed, you've pulled everything together, and then just let these incredible musicians I've assembled for the right reasons, who are all great, just do their thing. And then the music comes through incredibly, way better than I could have imagined. I just had to get out of the way,
That's such a big one. Like, it comes down to the question, what do I really control? What can I control?
Exactly.
Only so much.
Exactly. And even then, when is the best music come out of me? When I haven't been in control.
All right. Yeah.
So maybe control's not the answer. Maybe control's the answer for preparation.
Yeah.
And preparing to be ready.
Yeah.
Just like in a tribal sense in the old, going back generations, where the best hunters are ones that practice and work and hone their spear and train, train to be great hunters, not the ones who sit around all day and,
and then they are ready to confront everything that's coming, like bad weather, like no deers,
Yeah.
whatever could happen.
Yeah,
I
they're
don't know.
hunting and then a tiger comes out or whatever, they're really, they're really you're much more ready. And that's that same amount of, it's absurd. We're talking about music here, not life or death, but kind of absurd in a way. But that readiness comes, brings you into that place where something more amazing can happen. I have no doubt about that. But you do need that to be prepared,
Absolutely, yeah. I just want to real quick come back to the point, like when we have the symptoms, like feeling anxious, feeling we're a fraud, blah blah blah, and then we have the what's behind it, like we like to be seen, we like to be loved, accepted, respected, blah blah blah, and it reminds me of this guy. Maybe you know Kenny Werner.
Yeah.
He writes about this
effortless mastery.
I love his work, and you know it, and like the most profound information in his work for me was like, yeah, it all is based on the idea that I have to play good. That causes all the trouble. Like, I have to play good? Do I really have to play good? Is this really, we can really think about that. Is this really true? Like, is everything maybe based on a half truth? Like, who's to say what is really good? Who's to say what is the right note or is the wrong note? And he's talking about this a lot. He's an amazing player. I know, you know about him. He's playing concerts where he's playing, but in his in-ear he has maybe a football game going on.
Right.
And he's half listening to the football game, but he's playing the most amazing music. He might be a savant in that kind of sense.
Yeah, in that sense, yeah.
But you can really think about this question. Do I really have to play good, or is it about other things, really? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great summary of the battle. Because the answer's kind of in the music, and that you need to play of a certain level, which for some people is really good because they're just starting out, or they don't have the same ability. But yeah, if you just focus on having to play, I think it's perfectly. If you have to play perfectly, that's what I struggle with.
Yeah.
Because perfect is a form of good, right? It's like every note is exactly where you want it and how you want it. And my struggle is, do I play perfectly and prepare something? For example, I've got a solo, but I'm going to prepare it. I'm going to know exactly how it goes and play perfectly. Or am I missing an opportunity to try something novel and try something new and find something that's not perfect, but really exciting and invigorating and intense. So that for me is the battle.
I like how you put that, like missing an opportunity. That could be the case. And really, do we want ever to miss an opportunity to learn, to grow, to give our best, to let the music come through? Or are we like hindering it like all the time, a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's context too, because sometimes you don't need you just need to play the part.
Absolutely.
And make the music really good for the listeners,
Yeah.
But anytime I'm like, for instance, if I'm just jamming with, I've been doing a lot of jamming with other musicians over the break. It's been great. Had lots of opportunities.
Yeah.
And in those situations, I'm always going to do the latter, which is not play a part. I'm just going to really go for it. I'm going to really try and find new ways through the music and really do my best to listen and be engaged in the moment and have fun. Bring that through. But seize potentials as well and push myself because I feel like that's the perfect context to as you say, learn and
of course
take risks.
Yeah. Like in every musical situation, there might be the question, what is my goal and what is my purpose? Like there's a lot of talking right now about purpose in life. And for me, there might be a bigger arch of purpose in your life, but there's also so many small purpose opportunities. Like, you know that for yourself, like in every musical situation, you have You can discern what's my purpose, what's my role, what am I here to do really.
Yeah, I'll give you an example of that. So,
Yeah.
a recent example, I record a lot of my gigs, just to listen back, and also for arrangement things. Sometimes I'll come up with something on the spot, and I think, oh, that's really cool, and then I'll never remember it.
Sure.
Like the band is all. What's one particular band I play regularly with? Are all phenomenal, all incredible musicians. And so we do that often. We're just like, oh, let's just start it a little slower and in a different feel, or let's do it in 5/8 or whatever it is, some crazy thing. And it's magical. And so I want to capture that, But listening back, I'm often the things where I'm really like think I'm doing great, I'm just overplaying. I listen back and I'm like, shut up. I'm just too busy and overplaying.
Yeah.
And then often when I've recorded myself and thought, oh, that was terrible. That was so bad. Like just, I don't know what, I was like playing stupid, like real simple stuff and just, I couldn't get anything going. And then I've listened back and I'm like, that's so good. That's just what the music needed, So I don't know what the answer is, but again, it might be coming back to just getting out of the way and, trying to let the music.
I love that. Getting out of the way, yeah.
Yeah, and trying to let the music come through rather than like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be, So, yeah, I don't know. There's no straight line answer.
Absolutely. And that's such a perfect example that it reminds me of, I just read a quote by Rumi, the philosopher, and it goes like a little bit, maybe I mess it up, but be suspicious of what you want. I really loved it. And when you're telling this story, I like to go like, be suspicious of what you think, or what you like, what your idea is in the moment about what you're doing, because when you listen back, it might be totally different.
Yeah.
We're not like really, it's really hard to say here.
It is really interesting because this is often the case, by the way, when I think I'm like, I played the most amazing thing, I can't wait to listen back to them.
Yeah.
It's too many notes, or the time's unsettled because I'm just like flying around or whatever it is. I can sort of see poke holes in it. But often it's when I don't think, it's when I'm doing a lot less, but I'm just kind of like playing what the music needs. But at the time I don't feel anything in particular, but it comes through great. I'm really surprised, but crazily that happens more often than not.
Oh, beautiful.
At the time I think, yeah, that was okay. And then listening back, I'm like, whoa, I didn't even remember playing any of this. So, yeah.
And for the other situation, when you think you're doing really good, do you think that this is the moment where the ego is so much on the wheel that it drives me, and that's not where you want to be really?
Yeah, I do. I think that's what it is. I think, so that's the battle, is to move away from letting the ego drive that moment, that desire of like, if I do this, everyone will be really impressed. Again, it's a line, like you're walking a line of like, when am I listening to my spirit and letting the music come through, and when am I listening to my ego and just wanting to do this to impress people, or sometimes the ego can be internally focused, the output, as in like, I want to do this because I've never done it before, and it would be really amazing, and you're almost wanting to impress yourself. So you kind of, well, that's how I work anyway. Then you've also lost something in there, because it's been ego driven, or the ego finds it. That's going to be amazing.
And that can't be the purpose. That can't be the goal in that moment, right? To lose yourself in the ego.
That's the proof. That's what the proof says.
Yeah.
Listening back, I'm like, oh yeah, I should just have shut up and played less and thought less, and thought less about what I wanted or what the ego was trying to do at that moment. So yeah, this is fine detail stuff, because who knows at the time. As I said, sometimes I think when nothing is happening, it sounds great. Actually, the band sounds really good, and then I'll feel this, and then and then what will happen on listening back is I won't listen to myself. I'll just listen to the music, and I'll think, oh no, that's exactly what was needed. The lesson for me in this case is that you don't play into the guitar and into the guitar strings and into the guitar music and think just this is the guitar music, guitar, me, guitar. Music. It's music. It's a song. Play into the song. What's the vocalist doing? Just listen to that, and it will tell you what you're supposed to be playing and how hard you're supposed to be playing. And how much. All those things will come, And so I try and get myself to think like that as much as I can.
Yeah. Love that, because when you trust that you're the right person in the right place, or even just you trust that you're in the right place, then it can happen. And when you're like thinking maybe that's not the case, then the anxiety and the ego and everything, the thinking can roll you over, right?
Yeah. That's that's what, it's good to record yourself because then you're an observer. In the moment, sometimes you don't know what's going on because you're in the heat of battle. You're struggling with technique. Maybe you're a bit anxious. Maybe someone just walked in and that's changed your mindset. Maybe you're not even thinking straight, or you're not inside the music. But there's all these things in the moment that distort your understanding of what's actually happening. But when you listen back, none of that exists. It's just you're listening. So it's good to do that. I think it's good. That's the other reason I record. It's just like, how did that actually sound?
Yeah. I mean, when you're listening back, you always can go to the place and you hear what you hear, but you also remember what you felt in that moment. And then you can cross it over and think, okay, I was totally wrong. It was distorted. And this is really what was happening in the moment. What do you think are things that support the ego that's involved in making music? Like, I would imagine when you're going up the, let's say, musical ladder, and you have bigger and bigger success, bigger bands, more responsibility, that could be one of the things that supports the ego, and you think you're whatever.
What is the saying? Don't listen to the reviews of yourself or whatever it is. Don't listen to the praise, because you can can definitely get distorted. So over time I've won awards and things, and I just really try and downplay it. It's like I think that's from my mother is Cook Island, and Pacific people are generally very humble, and that to me is kind of the opposite of ego. In its true form. If you're just truly humble, it's the opposite of ego. So I try and search for that, but there's something to that as well, which is kind of can be a little bit false. Sometimes you feel it. Oh yeah, man, I was really good. I deserve this. I deserve this.
Sure, you do.
And so, it's I start, and my initial thought is to be more humble than not, because I think that it's like it's a fire, it's a hose, it's water on the fire of ego, if that makes sense. And then that puts me into a better mind space, better mental space to kind of think more clearly rather than just getting wrapped up in the excitement and success of it, But I don't know if there's an antidote for ego, because I think when you're in the middle of moving in that space, in an ego space, I feel like you're just so wrapped up in it. It's like testosterone, just like,
I feel there's a kind of antidote, and that's also, you could put it in the category of preparation. For me, it's really meditation or some movement like yoga or something like. And the reason why I know it is when I don't do it. For example, I'm traveling a lot and I don't have time, or whatever. I feel like my ego is getting stronger.
Right.
And so that's one of the modalities I use.
Man, I just caught up with a good friend last night. He's a drummer, and he's playing a bit of guitar. But anyway, his thoughts are he's quite a religious guy, you know, he does church every Sunday. But I said, you know, what else have you been up to? And we just caught up generally. And then he said, man, I've been making myself weak. And I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm not eating.
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh, really? And so not because he used to go to the gym a lot. It's quite a, you know, fit guy. And he said, no gym. I said, so no gym and fasting. And I said, why? And he said, to make myself weak.
Yeah.
I said, what do you mean? And he explained it to me exactly like kind of like what you're saying. In a way, it puts you in a completely different headspace where you're not, you know, this testosterone filled, you know, and
it's about identification, really, right? Like, when you think about yourself, you're strong, you're capable, you're a good player, you know all the standards, whatever. That sums up your identity, and then there's not much room for like being humble, letting the music come through.
And what if you take those things away? What are you then?
Absolutely.
That's it, you know. So I think that was, he was funny. He ended with, I don't know. But I said, no, I get it. I know what you're talking about, something I struggle with, you know, and it's making yourself, and in his case, I think it was making himself weak before God. But you know, to be humble again is the essence, and that is he's literally walking the walk of like fighting with his ego, I think.
I love that. Yeah.
Beautiful. I only heard this last night, but I'm like, I'm going to think on this. I'm going to think on this and see how I can put it into my life. I also think substances mess with that. Like, I don't drink or do drugs anymore. I haven't for a long time. Been a long time sober in that. But caffeine, really. So I've had no coffee for 2 days because I'm just like, it's just messes me up, you know.
When you're are conscious about it, right? Because when it's a habit, you're not really standing. You have to get outside to really observe what is going on.
Yeah.
And like every substance, like sugar or caffeine, can be,
and even sugar. You're right.
Yeah.
And also just change your approach to things. You know, so it changes where you come from. So if you're sitting down to play music, and you've had Red Bull, something different is going to happen.
Absolutely.
Than if you haven't, you know.
Giant steps on Red Bull.
To start with, you're going to count everything in faster. But there's actually a deeper level than that. It's not just the speediness of your mind and your thinking and your muscles, but it's just it's a general approach that is like way more anxious or way more tense, you know. So, so there's, you know, I don't know if that's an ego thing so much, but it certainly is a way to affect the music, you know, and I feel like it will, it just like heightens the mind, you know, so my mind's thinking and then overthinking and, you know, so I have to be careful about that too. But I like this thing of trying to make myself weak, or, you know, what you're talking about with meditation. I know that fasting is like when I've been sick before and haven't eaten, day 2 or day 3, there's this insane mental clarity.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Like, whoa. So just not eating is, you know, there's obviously benefits to all of this. So maybe you're right. There are antidotes. Ego antidotes.
We can try different things. I think, to try to cope with that.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering in the back of my mind if there's a reason that ego is important in some situations, you know.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. I think it's just one of our tools and one of the parts of what makes us. But we have to keep it in check sometimes. Like, it's not the only thing that's driving us.
Yeah, I think it drives a different type of human action and mentality, and that might be responsible for a lot of really cool things.
Absolutely.
You know, that's just a general thought.
Yeah,
put my finger on it perfectly. But
can you imagine any great musician without ego?
Yeah.
like Charlie Parker standing there or Michael Jackson, whoever. Like without ego, they would never leave.
I definitely know a lot of musicians with egos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like as in that's their that really sort of propels them forward, and I've been guilty of that. But then I've worked with musicians who are maybe not egoless, or just people, and within music circles or teaching circles, and they come from a really different place. It's very humble and very kind of much more in the spirit of kindness, of help, of empathy, of helping other people, of supporting. And then you play music with people like that, and it's something else.
Yeah.
It really is something else.
Yeah.
Especially when they're really good, or as well, like they're really great facility, crafted, but then they're like this, giving, really supportive. Oh man, that
you
music
relax fully. You feel supported. You can.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I aim for, more than anything else.
To be like that.
Yeah, and I've had my moments of like when egos come out because the music's not perfect, and it's like, oof, that's not cool at all. It's led to the music getting worse. So the idea that it's like, this music isn't perfect, I'm going to yell at people until it gets perfect is like really flawed.
You tried that one out.
Tried that one out twice, and
it's not happening.
Very, very bad result both times.
Yeah, but we learn, right?
We learn, yeah. It took me 2 times. But yeah. And hopefully that never happens again. But it's a deep lesson, because the real lesson is that control and grabbing onto something and like fighting with it to get it into place might not be the best thing. There might be another approach that you can use. And maybe the approach is just, hey man, you had a bad gig, let it go.
Yeah,
get it better the next time.
Okay,
it's okay. Maybe that's the approach.
Dixon, do you think that your family life, your life as a father and husband, helps you to be more humble, stay grounded, keep your ego in check?
Yeah, that's a good question as well, man. You've got great questions. I think so. You learn a lot more than you read about. When you've got these how to be a parent books or videos or whatever it is, and you are like, okay, especially when your first child comes along, and then you just work out a way to get through it, and you mumble through and you do things wrong. I certainly did, and my share. But these lessons that come are incredible from definitely from each one of my boys. I've got 3 boys, and each one has taught me so much about who I am, and I've changed so much over that time. I mean, I've gotten older, obviously, but you could say older and wiser. But I think it's learning. I think it's seeing the effect that you put on people who are just looking up to you and following your every move, and you're a role model whether or not you want to be.
Yeah.
And then watching the effect of what you do, positive and negative, and then going, okay, I need to stop those negative things, because it actually has a profound effect on another human being, especially when you're their world.
Absolutely.
So if you don't learn those lessons, you've got a really, you're just continuing on with generational, maybe not trauma, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Just it creates a lot more problems than it solves, And now I've got boys that are moving out into the world, and my oldest boy in particular, who is just like, I've taken him on gigs, and he's done some stage management and some gear handling and teching, and plays great guitar as well, but not professionally, but he's really musical, and even though he hasn't chosen that as his career, he absolutely loves it. But the best thing, and the thing I'm most proud of, is when people come back to me and say, oh man, I loved working with your son, he's such a good human.
Oh yeah.
I'm really happy.
That makes you proud. Sure.
Very, very proud of that.
Yeah.
And that is a reflection of, I'm hoping, a reflection of my wife and myself, and the home that we've created. So yeah, I think that's an empathy thing and a kindness thing.
And it's about yourself asking the question, what kind of father, for example, do I want to be? Like, how can I support my child and
Yeah.
giving them values and
Yeah. And most of it is, only very rarely have I sat them down and talked to them about these things and literally laid it out and said, you have to stop being like this. You need to be more like this. Very rarely. Mostly it's just you show them.
leading by example.
Yeah, even when you don't think you are, it's in a phone conversation you're having with someone and they overhear it. You don't know that they're listening in. And it's like, how do you treat that person?
Yeah.
How do you react when the day's not going your way? How do you react with it? How do you treat other people?
So there's no single moment that doesn't count.
Which is scary.
Yeah,
There's a pressure there, but kind of not, because if you just are always in the mode of like, I'm going to do the best I can and do the best I can. And I've really got my mind set on being a good human being as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And still getting the job done. I'm a real perfectionist and I'm a professional and I want to do a great job, whatever it is, big show, small show, anything. And then I try and find the best mix of those things. And then when things go wrong, I forgive myself and other people around me as much as I can, and then, that seems to be a good mix.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah. But certainly, just to fully answer your question, certainly having children will teach you very humbling lessons if you're willing to listen. And then that develops you, certainly has for me at least, as you go out and get back to music and play in a band and like, oh yeah, that's right. Everything I do matters. How I act, how I am. It's not always what I say, has a bearing. So yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. What else do you do to keep you happy and sane? Like, do you have any hobbies besides music, doing sports?
No, not really. I like to walk. I like to walk and listen to podcasts. I've been listening to a lot of Alan
Watts.
Alan Watts. I listen to a lot of Alan.
Yeah.
That's probably been my main thing over the break. A little bit of Eckhart Tolle as well. I really like Eckhart. I saw him when he came here 2 years ago, a year ago.
Cool.
So that's my I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
That's my own headspace. Because outside of that, I'm mostly working, and spend a bit of time with my boys over the break. It's been great, actually, heaps of time. But usually it's very work dominated. I'll be teaching days. At night, I'm working on arrangements or working on a show or doing some practice or whatever it is. And there's not a lot of time for other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. But if you work the right way, there's not the thing of overworking. Like it's not really work. Like it's your passion. It's your way of living. It's
you can overwork. I've definitely, last year was probably the worst. 2025 was the worst for me.
Yeah.
I just took on really big projects around and was teaching at a high school for the first time. I've taught for over 20 years and university and classroom teaching and stuff, but this was like really another level. And I got into it. So I was like, let's do extra things. And so I was
perfectionist.
Yeah, and also just enjoying the success of like watching these boys grow and the boys, it's a boys' school and I'm the music teacher. And so I got really excited about things. There was a choir thing they hadn't done before, so we got involved in that. There was a band thing they hadn't done before, so we did that. And it was wild, it was a lot of work and time and energy and effort. And it felt great. Like it was, in the end, I feel it was a very successful year and it got a lot of more students on board with the idea of music. So it was really cool. So I loved it. But yeah, that, and then you stack on top of that, I had 3 big shows. Oh man, that was
too much.
Way too much. It was a lot of crazy long days and no day off for months, and it was silly. Yeah.
But you were able to see that's not the right path.
Yeah.
You turn it down a notch.
That's it.
Yeah.
Turn it down. This year's I've got that show I mentioned in March, and then nothing until the end of the year. This thing at the end of the year is a slow burn. but it's nowhere near as manic as what I did. Yeah, last year was crazy, and I was doing other things. I did some stuff for the Auckland Philharmonic, 3 shows I think, and that was a lot of prep. So yeah, tone it down as the lesson. Yeah.
Yeah. Like one last question, maybe. I know it's a big question, but in this conversation, I think we got a little sense of this. But in your perspective, what do you think makes up the life of a happy musician, like a fulfilled musician?
I think it's the corny things. I think you try and find a way to do what you love, whatever that looks like, because for everyone it is different. And you allow.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
What do you think is really, what does it really mean? Find something you love. Like, what is the essence of that? Like, there are so many things that we think we love, or then we find out a little bit later, oh, it was society that told me that I have to be on a stage or something like that. Like,
yeah.
What is it really about?
Well, that's a good question, and it's not. I don't think the answer is the same for everyone in terms of how it physically manifests in this world. I think you find what you love. Like for my wife, she loves children, but we could only have 3, and I'm like, that's enough. But so she now looks after young kids, and I was watching her this morning as I was having breakfast, and these kids love her, and she loves these kids, and I'm like, man, she loves that job. She loves it. There's no other word.
Yeah.
So I'm the same. I can sit here for hours and just play the guitar, and I love it. I love it. And you have to find out what that thing is, I think. Well, it's not easy. I know a lot of people who don't enjoy what they do, but then outside of that, as a job, I mean, and then outside of that, they don't necessarily have anything. So to answer your question, I feel it's different for everyone, but you have to find what that thing is that you love. And yeah, if I can think about myself for a moment, I love the journey of like picking up the instrument and just seeing what it wants me to play today. Because I don't normally, when I practice, I don't have a regime. I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm going to play this song or this standard or this piece of music or this scale or sit with a metronome or.
Yeah.
And so there's a voyage of discovery. I love that voyage, and I love the fact that I'm moving towards something, even abstractly. So, those are aspects of what I love about the instrument.
Yeah.
But someone else might find that infinitely boring and not be remotely attracted to doing something like that.
But you found that it's very important to you and fulfilling.
It is, yeah. It is, absolutely, and I have to do it. And this holiday break has proven that to me, because normally I work through. Normally I have a show and I'm running straight into the show, certainly for the last 3 years. Yeah. Since COVID and that, everything came back quite strong here, music-wise. So I haven't had a break, and I've just, and I've missed it, and I feel like very reluctant to go back and teach, even though I love it, because I just have got this great feeling of like having great facility on the instrument again, because I've been thinking so differently because I've practiced and crafted. Yeah. So I love all of those aspects of it. So maybe go back and answer the last question, the big one. I think it's a mix of finding the thing that you love and finding a way to do that consistently, and supporting that with the things that you have to do to sustain yourself, and finding a way, and this is really important, to not hate that as well, to appreciate that and enjoy that.
Yeah. Could be a side job, right?
Yeah, for a lot of people it is. They do a little bit of teaching, maybe itinerant teach, or they do a covers gig in the weekend, and then everything else is their time, to be creative, or a lot of it is, Some people even just do day jobs and then love gigging in the weekend. Yeah. I've got a couple of people that spring straight into my mind, and they're so passionate too. They love the music, just doing covers or, originals and covers, but the people I'm thinking about, but they approach it with the same vigor and enthusiasm that I approach it with, from a very different, life perspective. So I think that's it. I think it's the balance of finding those things, the thing that you love, the thing that you need to do to sustain it. Every now and then, this is not for many people, but every now and then, artists in particular I'm thinking of, who find one thing and it's both. It sustains them, and they love it.
But at the same time, you're saying it can't be the goal for every one of us, right? Because it seems
That's not
to
my
be,
experience.
yeah, it seems to be a little bit rare. So then it must be the case that it's not healthy to chase that, really. To like, I'm only a good musician when I'm living on music, like I play gigs and stuff. That is a false statement, I think, right?
That's a good way of putting it. I feel there's like, if you place the pressure on yourself to follow your dreams. You know how they say follow your dreams and you're going to be this and you're going to be a jazz musician, and don't look outside yourself to see the reality of what that looks like in the context of how you live. Like, for instance, living in New Zealand, in the bottom of the world, in this tiny place with a small population, and thinking, I'm just going to be a jazz guitarist and I'm going to go and play jazz gigs. Oh, great. Where are the jazz venues? Where are the what music are you going to play that's going to appeal to people, that they're going to, you're going to be able to sell it? How are you going to sell? What's the audience? How are you going to sell this music? So if you don't, address that with a healthy dose of like reality and just looking around you, then I think you need to, reassess what that dream looks like, because and then other people might tell you, especially successful people. It's like watching the podcasts with like billionaires or millionaires, multimillionaires, and they're like, oh, everyone can do this. And I'm just like, well, that's not true.
Yeah.
It's actually
It's just their
not true.
perspective. Yeah. Can be dangerous to take it at face value, right?
Yeah, but also, like, not everyone can be a podcaster, not everyone can be a jazz guitarist, not everyone can be whatever, because you can't have the entire, 7-8 billion people just doing one thing, or all being millionaires. It doesn't make sense. There's not the resources in the world to do this. There's not, there's not the lines of like successful entrepreneurship to lead to that. So
there are actually 8 million purposes in the world for 8 million billion people.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. In essence. So and we're so lucky here. I never take that for granted, right? Like, we're doing this and we're sitting in a studio, and I have physical things that I'm so lucky to have, and I have a family, and we're not in a war-torn environment, and like all of this stuff. Because out of the 8 billion, how many don't get to think as we're thinking, or don't get to meditate, and don't get to eat regularly, and all the things we kind of take for granted, So maybe that's the other thing I'll add to the answer is, a healthy dose of gratitude.
Yeah.
I don't think you can, you can take what we have for granted.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Dixon. It was a absolute pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for taking the time.
You're so welcome, Marco.
Please let us know where we can find your music. Do you have a website?
I don't have a website. I'm a bit terrible in that sense, but I've got a couple of albums out on Spotify under my name, or maybe 4 or 5 if you hunt around. They'll be there, so you can check them out on Spotify and YouTube and the usual places.
And you're open for students to teach, right? You also teach online?
I do teach online, but I'm kind of full up at the moment, just with that thing of not not doing too much. Yeah. But every now and then I do some online teaching. Yeah.
Okay, great. Nice to have you on. Good luck with your music and your life, and thanks for being here.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Marco.
Thanks.